I was such a lover growing up in the 90s. I just loved people. I would watch shows like Friends and Cheers and Home Improvement where people seemed to see their friends every day and neighbors talked to each other, even over privacy fences. These stories meant something to me, and I think they touch a lot of us because they highlight a core need that we all have, which is to be known. But do our lives actually reflect those shows? I was invited to speak with you today not just as an architect of buildings, but as an architect of belonging. Because our homes are more than just structures, they are mirrors. And too often they reflect our deepest wounds. We live in this paradox of wanting connection, but choosing lives of separation. But it doesn't need to stay that way. We can change the story, and I'm going to tell you how. So I grew up in a family where productivity was the language of love. My dad is one of the most busy and productive people I've ever met in my entire life. He's a heart surgeon, a pilot, a grape grower, a winemaker, a pilot. Oh, I already said pilot. He's a painter. He's a musician, a hunter, and he's often learning a new language. That man is busy. And as long as I can remember, I call him up and I say, "Hey, Dad, how's it going?" And Dad says, "Hey, son, yep, things are really good. We're really busy and trying to get through the week." I learned a lot from my dad about work ethic, about completing things, about being a productive citizen. You know, my dad taught me that for the things that matter most, you just got to put in the work. You got to complete them. So needless to say, early on in my life, I learned how to achieve, how to be good, how to check the boxes and get everything done that society expects of me. School and job and money and marriage and titles. But beneath all of that achievement was a hole in me that I was desperate to fill. I can still picture myself standing outside my childhood home with my skateboard. I can see it still, shouting, "Watch me, watch me. Love me. See me, see me." That need to be seen, we all have it. It's a part of being a human. But for me, it just got more disguised the older I got. I tried to earn my way to belonging through achievements, but it never worked, not for any length of time. What I needed to know as a kid was that I was loved just for being me, not because of what I did. So I had a long road of very shiny achievements before I faced the truth as an adult that I did not love myself. That would come later. So 10 years ago, I began a healing journey. Therapy, men's work, grief ceremonies, retreats. I started singing and dancing. And y'all, the most profound and transformative and moving moments, they did not happen sitting alone on a cushion or on top of a mountain. They happened in community with people just like you, sitting in a circle in the most simple way and sharing stories, being seen, truly being seen. And in those spaces, what it meant to be with people changed for me away from performance and being good and towards authenticity and realness. That's the magic of being with people. We are hurt in relationships. Yes, it's unavoidable. And that naturally drives us to isolate. But y'all, we also heal in relationships. That is where we repattern trust and safety. That is where I learned to love myself, not by doing and achieving more, but by being seen and learning to see myself. But American culture will tell us to do the opposite. You know, single-family homes are sold to us as a pillar of success, of achievement, and yet so often they isolate us and they disconnect us from other people. You can do everything right with a career and a marriage and buying a house and find yourself exhausted, raising kids alone, going weeks without seeing friends and having little time or energy for intimacy with the person you love because you've taken on so much. Our tendencies towards privacy can backfire, and strip us of the very things that make us come alive. And our achievements will not sustain our joy, but there is something that does. It's connection. As an architect, I started noticing a similar pattern in my profession, that we are obsessed with separation. Single-family homes, privacy fences, larger houses on larger lots. We think that distance from other people will not only make us safe, but will make us happy. But my clients tell a very different story. I got a call from a woman, her name's Sandra. She said that her house felt claustrophobic and isolating, that she worked from home in a foreboding basement, walked through sad, disconnected hallways, and cooked in an uninspiring kitchen. Sandra had a way with words describing her house. And she said to me, if we can fix all this, I think I'll be happier. This is why people hire an architect. But then she said, almost as an afterthought, when I was younger, I lived in apartment buildings, and I liked hearing other people live their lives. It felt less lonely. Tell me more about that, I said, and she lit up through the phone, traveling back in time 20 years to when she lived with friends and shared a cat across the hallway in a fourplex. Or when she would get a box of local farm produce every week and cook it with her friends, having shared meals. Or when all the units were all boiling water for her child's home birth. These are the memories that came flooding in, and I could feel her come alive. For Sandra, safety didn't mean being alone. It meant being with other people. People that she came to love. People that were really important in her life because they lived with and near each other. 12 years into being a homeowner of a single-family house, Sandra's life is quite different. And she said to me, Barron, this is the first time in my adult life that I've lived in this quasi-conventional setting, and I've sampled it long enough. I want out. See, Sandra doesn't just want to change the architecture of her house, she wants to change the architecture of her life towards connection, towards aliveness, towards belonging. Derek Thompson writes in The Atlantic that we live in the anti-social century. You've got to check this article out. And there's research that shows that we are terrible at predicting what we want and what will make us happy. Nick Epley is a psychologist who ran a study with people traveling to work by train, commuters. And most people thought that they would prefer a solitary commute to that of one having conversation. But when those very same people who thought they wanted to be alone were asked to have conversations, they consistently reported having more positive days. This is wild, y'all, because we consciously think, we choose to be alone, or when presented with the opportunity to connect, most of us will pass it up. But the research is clear, we come alive in connection. This is the paradox of being a human being, that we can need something more than anything in the world, which is belonging, and yet we can unconsciously choose a different path because the stories of our past tell us that that is not safe. But we can change that. We can change the script. The Harvard Adult Development Study, which has been running for over 85 years, has shown that the strongest predictor of long and healthy and fulfilling lives is not wealth, it is not success, it is warm, meaningful relationships. It is love. So let me say this to you as an award-winning architect. A nicer single-family house will never fill the void in your heart. What will is the courage to see yourself with nothing to hide and nothing to prove. And when that fear and stories from our past go away, we can choose what we actually want. This is the pre-design work that we do together, which is dissolving those old stories and getting in touch with what we want. And here's the beauty. Architecture can absolutely bring people together. Here are some ways you can do that. So number one, build what I call quite simply a friend-plex. I love doing this with my clients. This is what we're doing for Sandra. This is a new or renovated home where both community and privacy are welcome into one space. And what that looks like is multiple units on a shared property with some shared amenities. And let me say this again because I know it's important. You get your own house. You have your privacy. You can retreat, but you also get your friends within arm's reach almost, just like in the sitcoms. When you do this, you get a house that is built for belonging, tailored to your specific needs, not a single-family fortress, but co-housing. Option number 2, let's say you already own a home. See if you can add another unit. You can go up or bump out, but the best way to do this is really with an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, a backyard cottage. Cities across the country are changing zoning to allow for this because it helps so much in broader affordability. But to me, what I'm most excited about is the community opportunity of having another cute little house in your backyard where somebody that you love can live, or somebody that you could come to love. And it will increase your home value, which I know is important. All right, option number 3. This one's really important. Let's say you're not ready to share your property with someone else. That is okay. When you don't have the right space that facilitates community, you become the space where people are seen. This is something that anybody can do. It's about learning to facilitate. You can gather friends or neighbors and conduct a gathering where people feel important. Anybody can do this, and it's so important. Y'all, my work is not really about buildings. I think that's probably clear. It's about people. It's about uncovering the stories that we carry around success and safety and worth, and it's about dissolving fear. Because only then can we choose not only structures, but lives where we are seen, loved, and supported. My dad taught me that if something really matters, you put in the work. And y'all, what I want more than anything for all of us is to heal the stories from our past that we may not be conscious of that tell us that we don't belong or that we aren't seen, so that we can step into lives that bring us alive. Not everybody can design houses, but you are the architect of your own life. And if you ask anybody on their deathbed what matters, it is the same. It is relationships. It is the people that we love and the time that we spend together. That is true wealth. And we can design for it. My name is Barron Peper, and I create spaces where people are seen. And I hope you will too. Thank you.